Hey, it's me, Wyatt, back yet again. This is the 5th episode, I believe now, of the Wyatt Olinger podcast. Woohoo! And, I thought I'd do something a little different this time. So, for episodes 1, 3, and 4, I was sitting in my closet, and it wasn't working. You see, my walk-in closet is smaller than an outhouse, and I was sitting in there, crisscross applesauce, as you do. And every time I was done recording an episode, whenever I tried to get up, well, my legs were so asleep that it was painful to even get up and get out of the closet. So, yeah, I learned my lesson. So now I'm sitting at my desk I don't know if this is going to be permanent, but I don't know. That's up for you to decide. Do you care about my well-being, or do you want me to suffer and go back in my closet? Anyway, on to the main topic of today's podcast. It is officially October now. Yay! However, with October comes spookiness. And a lot of it. Like, I've seen literal memes of people calling the month Spooktober and spamming it with skeletons and stuff like that. Because Halloween's coming up, and everybody's probably heard of Halloween, right? I mean, you celebrate it too, as long as you're American. So, Halloween, it's a weird holiday, truth be told. I mean, they try to scare you, but come on, we all know that ain't working. Or maybe I'm just really tough as nails, I don't know. And Halloween, yeah, it's quite something. I said it's a weird holiday, but here's what I mean. Like, who decided that it would be fun to create a holiday where a bunch of little kids dress up in crazy cosplay, run all around all over their neighborhoods asking strangers for candy? Like, what? Why? Like, that is so weird when you think about it. Just imagine never even hearing of Halloween, and then all of a sudden it's October 31st, you hear a at your door, and then you go up and you see like a kid dressed as a jack-o'-lantern holding out a bag with a jack-o'-lantern face on it saying "Twinkle tweet," and the guy's just like, what the heck is going on? Yeah, somebody may have to explain Halloween to that poor soul. But that's not the main thing about Halloween. No. I mean, aside from trick-or-treating, I mean, that's kind of the main thing about Halloween. You dress up in a crazy costume and then run all over the place. Like, really? Is it really Halloween unless it's costume related? I mean, when you think about it, now that I think about it, like, cosplaying in general, especially conventions, it's just year-round Halloween when you think about it. Anyhow, I bet you're ever wondering, have I ever dressed up for Halloween? Actually, not that often. I have a few times. Like, in 2015, I dressed up as the Grim Reaper one year, so that was cool, I guess. And then 2 years later, in 2017, I was sort of like I was essentially something very similar to the Grim Reaper, but not quite. I was basically like a soul collector. I had like a black cloak and was holding a rake. And people thought I was dressing up as the Grim Reaper again, and I had to say, no, I'm a graveyard weirdo. I'm not grim again. I'm not that cheap. And the weird thing is that my My Grim Reaper costume was entirely homemade. I mean, all I did was just put a blanket over myself, and I made a scythe out of an old window curtain handle and sheets of paper that I stapled to the handle, and a plastic skeleton to hold over my head, which I will say is a very terrible way of executing a Halloween costume, and I may have tainted Mr. Grimm's image. I am so sorry. But at least you could easily tell who I was, right? Yeah. I don't really dress up myself, my real self, but there have been instances where I drew myself dressed up for Halloween. Like in 2021, I was in a pretty sick zombie costume. Like that was one of those happy Halloween drawings that you see of like the artist in a costume. I did that one year, and it was like a cool zombie. I even had like an eye missing in that picture. Of course, I'm gonna have to put the picture up in a future community post. So, another thing about Halloween I really like is something called Inktober. It's where you draw 31 different things for the entire month. I've wanted to participate in Inktober, but I don't think I have enough motivation to do that. I mean, sounds fun. Just get to draw 31 spoopy things, or actually, I think they give you a prompt now that I think about it. Yeah, Inktober sounds fun. It was especially designed for illustrators just like me. All right, and what else? Oh yeah, all the good Halloween movies that play every now and then. Like, especially if you've got a Disney Plus subscription. I'm looking at you, Disney fans, because I know you guys are out there. Because in one poll I posted, I was asking which major movie studio makes the best ones, and Disney has most of the votes, so I know you guys are out there. And one year I watched The Nightmare Before Christmas, which should it count as I'm still confused. Is The Nightmare Before Christmas a Halloween movie or a Christmas movie? I've been struggling with that debate with myself for so long, and I need an answer! It's like half Halloween, half Christmas, but people associate it with Halloween more, so that's what I'm kind of agreeing upon now. And then there's also Hocus Pocus, which I've actually never seen. I don't even know that much about Hocus Pocus. Like, I do know of, like, the 3 witch sisters that appear in literally every Halloween meme, and I'm convinced they're the only 3 characters in the entire movie. I could be wrong, but like I said, I don't know that much. Apparently, Hocus Pocus came out in the 90s, and then they made a sequel just recently. Like, wow, you're just now making a sequel, but then again, Disney has like a billion other projects they work on, and they pay attention to some more than the others. I'm looking at you, Star Wars. And now they finally made a Hocus Pocus 2. So I bet you all the fans of the original were absolutely adored by it. They were like, yeah, Hocus Pocus 2, finally. Yeah. And I can't really think of any... Hang on. Water's good. I can't really think of any other Halloween movies, but I just thought of, I don't know if it's a Halloween movie, but Frankenweenie kind of reminds me of one. Like, it was a stop motion movie Disney did, I think back in 2012, if I remember correctly. It was entirely in black and white. They used black and white stop motion. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I can think of another spoopy movie a lot of people like to watch around this time of year. And that is another stop-motion movie I've heard about called Coraline. I don't really know that much about Coraline either, except I do have the image of like the blue-haired girl in the yellow raincoat. Yeah, that movie. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So, and another highlight about Halloween is all of the haunted houses you get to go to. Like there was haunted houses, like they were typically in Halloween stores, but I think there was also one at this place I went to one year called Fright Farm, and it was like also a hayride. Like, going through the haunted houses, I don't think they really even scared me that much. Like, one of the ones I've been to a few years ago was like mental hospital themed, and not a single person jumping out scared me. Like, not one. None of them scared me. They were like there was this one theater. There was like these high schoolers just kind of jumping out in like fake blood all over their faces, going, "Did you take my pills?" And I bet you that definitely would have scared a little kid, but don't worry, they had rules saying they weren't allowed to touch you. And I wasn't really even all that scared of the whole lunatic hospital place, because I was actually just making snarky comments the whole time. Like there was one section that was just full of shirts on a rack, and it was like a whole tunnel of them, and they were progressively getting closer and closer together, like sort of closing in on you. And then it was like a whole bunch of shirts, and I think there was a few slacks in there too, but I don't remember. And they were getting so close together, and it was so hard to move. And I actually said at one point, yeah, I think you might want to write an apology letter to your laundromat. Yeah, I think going through the haunted house itself took, like, I want to say 20 minutes or so. The first one I've ever been to was in a Halloween store, and the people and there, I don't really remember too much from it, but I do remember of a couple things. One of them is that they were playing this like very realistic animation on like a screen shaped to look like a window going outside, and it was like a zombie, and he was just kind of munching on a human corpse out in the distance. And then he eventually looked towards where you were, and then like so sort of started sprinting over to where you were. But as soon as he hit the glass on the window, he's like whole head splattered, and in front of the window there was like this thing that squirted out water right when he splattered blood all over the window, and it looked very realistic. And the water that sprayed out hit you hard too. I also do very well remember how the thing ended, and that was like there was this big tunnel thing that was made out of like, it felt like inflatable foam, what's that? The stuff that bed sheets are made out of typically, or is it drapes? And then there's like a hallway that's like you go really tight through there, and then you pop back out again, and then you could go back into the actual store. And yeah, haunted houses. And I've already mentioned them a couple times, but there's also Halloween stores that only exist in September and October and months like that. What I find, then they mainly just have like Halloween decorations and costumes that won't fit anybody above the age of 7. And also the cashiers and employees are also in Halloween costumes occasionally, and when you think about it, Halloween stores typically not inhabit, that was wrong, I'm sorry. They typically go into stores that have since closed, mostly Kmart's. And that's actually pretty hilarious when you think about it. Because, Halloween is supposed to represent... Oh, look, a bunch of cute little kids came out on my screen. That's nice. Because Halloween is supposed to represent... Ooh, spooky, scary. Oh, and now I'm talking to my voice. I'm just going to do it just to get you all off my back. I am the Flying Dutchman. Yeah. And as I was saying, Halloween's all spooky and scary and ghostly. That's another key point right there. So basically, Halloween stores are the ghosts of stores that have since closed. Like, how many Blockbusters are left in America? Like, not that many, I hear. And yeah, I never really go into Halloween stores because honestly, who has that kind of time? And then there is, of course, those Halloween parties. You know the ones. The ones where those people just invite 30 of their friends over, all in Halloween costumes, and they bob for apples and all that good stuff, and then they have a costume contest. You've seen It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. You know what I'm trying to say. And, well, I actually threw a few of those a few years ago. I only had 7 of them. I started doing them in 2013, and then they stopped in 2019. Basically, we turned the garage into like this party zone and threw a big Halloween party, and a whole lot of people showed up. Simon even showed up for a couple years. And we stopped doing them because COVID hit. Yeah, COVID is just robbed everything. Like in my area, there was like this, in my general area, as in I mean a county away from me, there was this big plaza, and there was a CC's Pizza in one of the stores. But CC's Pizza has since disappeared because of the pandemic. However, what I don't get is the fact that that same exact plaza also has a Sweet Frog. In case you don't know, Sweet Frog is an ice cream parlor. And they're still in business somehow. Like, I bet you the employees got the toppings for you, but come on. So the Halloween parties were nice. Like, Simon came over one year, and he was dressed as a mad scientist, because what else would Simon be, honestly? I mean, other than a steampunk, I guess. And our Halloween parties even offered hay rides around the neighborhood, like around my area. Like, we'd start at my house and then go up the road, and they play out this like whole scenario for kind of like what you would see at Fright Farm, almost. Those crazy hay rides. And the sun actually is nice. And then we'd go all the way up to the end of my street, and then we go all the way back down again. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. Such a shame we don't do those anymore, really. And of course, the last thing before I end off that I want to mention, jack-o'-lanterns. Now, I don't think I've ever even carved a store-bought pumpkin. We usually just get them from somebody. And then we just carve, you know? Typically you have one of two options when carving. You could, of course, carve the pumpkin, which honestly takes a while. Like, for example, you have to cut open the top of the pumpkin, and then you have to completely gut the thing, like take all the edible parts of the pumpkin and the pumpkin seeds. Yeah, those all have to go bye-bye. And that takes forever. And then you get to take a knife and then carve a face in your pumpkin. The scariest face is always a must. It's almost compulsory. And then there's the other way, the easy way, where like gutting the pumpkin, taking all the seeds out, actually takes way longer than actually carving the carving itself. But the easy way is you don't even have to carve the pumpkin. You could just take the easy way and just stick Mr. Potato Head pieces into the pumpkin instead. Like that's something you... Yeah. Oh, yeah, when Mr. Potato Head toys were first being made, they only had the pieces, and you had to put them into a real vegetable. Thankfully, they don't do that anymore, since they've since switched to just providing you with a plastic potato instead. So yeah, you could either A, spend almost an entire hour gutting the pumpkin and placing the seeds and guts onto a sheet of paper, or B, just stick funny pieces in there Mr. Potato Head style. And yeah, that's just how, like, the whole Potato Head pumpkins and the Halloween parties, that's typically how it was for me. And also, because it's fall, you want to know what I really like about fall, is that you could be walking outside and, all the leaves are starting to fall, and then you step on a leaf and it makes a really nice crunch. Ah, yes. Nothing screams fall better than crunchy leaves. So, let me know down in the comments below. Are you excited for Halloween? Maybe feel free to tell me what you're going to dress up as, or if you haven't decided yet, that's fine too. Or if you don't want to dress up at all, that's also okay. Anyhow, I think I've rambled on long enough about Halloween and its glory. So, yeah. Tune in soon for another entry of my podcast, and I'll see you soon. Bye.